Hey, great to see you. Welcome to this video called How Much Hair Has Nick Got? Seriously, the other day I found a nesting family of chaffinches in there. It's ridiculous. That's lockdown for you. It's not really called that. The video is called How to Transition from Live to Online Poker. And the point of the video is to give you some help doing that if you're new to online poker, because live poker has gone away, a world without live poker, what a terrible business. But that's the reality we're in. So if you want to play, then online is your option. I'm also going to make this video for you if you struggle a bit with online poker, or if you just want to kind of get a refresh and get back to basics as to what you should actually be thinking about to excel online. Like I said, amazing we're in this world. I do hope that you and everyone you know is safe and well. The only silver lining we have right now is that there is an online poker boom. So there is an opportunity to play cash and tournaments online. Both of them are, there's more opportunity and the games are weaker than they were just a few months ago. So if you want to jump in or if you want to do better online, what should you actually be thinking about, especially if you've mainly played live poker? I've got 6 items for you to consider today in Roman numeral form for reasons not yet confirmed. We just don't know. Reason number 1 is build the skill. Item number 1 is build the skill. Key number 1 is build the skill. So I think what happens to a lot of people is they play live poker, they get some competency, they get comfortable, and then they jump online, they kind of jump into the same stakes that they play live, and they try and play the same way, and they don't have success. The fact is that online and live poker, even though they're the same game, they are different skills. So there's an element here of needing to leave your ego at the door and understanding that if you haven't played much online poker or you haven't mastered it yet, then it's a skill that you need to build. If you've got some poker awareness and you're decent at poker generally, or you've played a lot of live poker, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do well online. But you've got to start by acknowledging that it is a different skill. There's different types of information. The game moves much faster. You're going to see a lot more hands. The play is slightly different, and it's a completely different environment. So start from understanding you need to build the skill. What does that mean in real terms? Well, first of all, it means cutting yourself a break. So don't get too down on yourself and start to spiral and play badly because you don't do as well as you did live. That's the first thing to say. The second thing to say is to make adjustments. Start off with shorter sessions and make sure that you're learning all of the stuff I just mentioned that's different. Drop down in limits. I'll talk about this again later in the video, but the play is tougher at equivalent limits live to online. If you play 5-10 live, no limit hold'em cash game, you're going to see a massively different game in a lot of situations in a lot of rooms than you are if you jump in online, where the games are almost certainly going to be pretty tough. So understand that you need to build the skill and that it's different to live. You can't just 100% transition. Second of all is find your environment. So find your site and find your limit. Find your site and limit. There are a lot of online poker sites. Depending on where you are in the world, you'll have access to different sites. It's very important that you find a site you're comfortable on. And by comfortable on, there's a couple of different things I'm talking about. First of all, I'm talking about safety, security, and reputation. You want to know that your money is going to be safe and the site is, established and you can deal with, and they're easy to deal with. Cash outs and withdrawals are easy and stuff like that. Second of all, you want to be comfortable from a playing point of view. So every site has a different interface. Some of the interfaces and software are terrible. I really don't understand why. This is a hobby horse of mine. Online poker site is not a difficult piece of software, right, in terms of the interface. Like, let's say compare it to a really expensive, elaborate video game. It's nothing, right? It's really simple graphics. So it should be smooth and fast and easy to see and clear. So find one that is, right, and that you're comfortable playing on and has a good reputation. Next up, you need to find your limit, at least for right now. And this goes back to what I was talking about in point number 1. You need to play at a limit where you're comfortable that you have an edge and where you can get used to playing online. That is going to be several buy-ins below. Doesn't matter if it's cash or tournaments, where you normally play live or where you will play live. And if you're watching this as an online player, the reverse is true, right? You're going to see easier, softer play live than you would online. So find your site and find your limit. Get into a comfort zone so that you can then work on your game, right? You can then work on adapting your game to online, and you can focus better because you're not worrying about the site you're on, the graphics of the site you're on, the limit you're playing being too tough, or whatever it is. All right, third up is going to be conquer distraction. Conquer distraction. So when you play live poker, there are distractions, you know. There are free beverages sometimes, tremendous. Even paid for beverages, tremendous. There are other players. Sometimes people watch movies on their iPad while they play live poker. So there are distractions, but nothing compared to when you play online. When you play online, you've got the whole World Wide Web, and we know that there are some fun things on the World Wide Web. It's there at a click of a button, right? You can have browser tabs open, software running on your screen, and that's before we get into the environment you're in. You're very likely going to be at home. Right now, if you're in a restricted movement quarantine situation, there's going to be more people at home, you know, than there perhaps would be, and they can distract you. And then you've got all the comforts of home, like TV, like your phone, you know, people coming in and out. It doesn't matter what it is. There is a lot of distraction when you play online. If you're serious about doing well, poker is not a game that tolerates that. You need to be paying attention. You need to be focused so that you can think clearly. And I know no limit hold'em's weird because you go ages without big decisions, but you've got to have information about your players and your opponents when you make those decisions. And it's harder to get online. So you need to be focused more, not less. So make sure you set yourself up to win online. Close down, if you're playing seriously, right? Not if you're playing for fun, but if you're playing seriously, close down all your other browser tabs, turn off your phone or at least put it out of reach, right? And actually focus on the game you're playing. Tell the people in the house in your life you're focusing on playing a serious poker session. That always goes down well, especially with our significant others. But at least give yourself a chance of not being interrupted and being able to focus. It is so important. Completely impossible to play well if you haven't conquered distraction. Next up, multitabling. So the obvious difference between live and online poker is that you can play in more than one game at once. I have tried this in a live card room, which had wheelie chairs that had wheels on them. I was going from one to another. I had some adult beverages at the time, and I was stopped from doing that quite quickly. It doesn't work. Online, the great temptation is you can jump into more and more games, right? You can jump into several tournaments, not just one tournament. You can play several cash tables. I think a lot of people feel pressure to multi-table. They feel like, you know, they watch streamers, they watch videos of pros playing multiple tables. They think they have to as well. You absolutely do not have to. If you just want to play one poker tournament and play it well, that's absolutely fine. One cash table and play it well, that's absolutely fine. It's your money and your poker game. If you do want to add tables, it makes a lot of sense to play more tables because the more hands we play where we have an edge, the more you can win and earn. However, it will compromise your game. The more tables and games you add, the less attention you're paying. So my advice would be start small. If you're very new to online, start with one table. Add tables only when you feel comfortable. And don't have an ego about going back to playing less tables. The most important thing, both from your profit point of view and your enjoyment point of view, is that you play in enough. Is that you don't play in too many games so that you can't focus and you can't play well. So have a good think about this and act on the conservative side. If you're just starting out or if you struggle with online poker, just stick at one. You can always build up later. All right, different information is the next thing to be aware of. Different info. So in a lot of ways, there's less information online because you can't see the players, of course. So all of that kind of human information, all of those reads disappear when we play online. However, there are some areas where there's actually more information. So when you play online, it's much clearer what people's stacks are. You know, I always recommend when you play live, you know everybody's stacked around the table. I don't think there's much excuse for that, at least ballpark. But I accept it is difficult sometimes, difficult to keep track of. Online, the information's right there. You can even translate it into big blinds if you use a HUD or an aid in that way. And speaking of HUDs, if the site allows them and if you're comfortable using them, and again, I would take it step by step, very slowly, start with a couple of key statistics and build up if you're new to it, you have extra information that you wouldn't have live. So the information is different. It's not just that there's less. What it does mean playing online is that because you don't have that human interaction and those reads easily, you need to pay more attention, not less, because the information is there, but it's harder to get. So timing tells, for example, are a massive factor in online play. You can't get those if you're not focused, right? If you're distracted, you're looking at other browser tabs, you're looking at social media on your phone, you're going to miss hands you're not involved in, which give you critical information. And because overall we've got less information, it's way more important that you don't miss out on showdown hands, where the cards are turned over, obviously, that give you that extra information. So you need to focus more and understand the information is there, but it's different. So yeah, observe more, don't switch off, I think is the key. Very easy to do when you play online. And finally, there are playing differences. So that word is playing differences. So too subtle and varied and numerous to go into properly on this video. So I just want to give you an overview of how to transition from live to online. But in general, don't come at me, different from game to game. In general, online poker is a bit more aggressive and a bit more bluffy, and a little bit more call-y as well. So in general, people are looser with their chips than they are live. And there are some obvious human reasons for that. Let's say you're playing in a decent sized tournament in a live card room. Most people have travelled to that tournament, they've set aside time in their lives to play that tournament. When they bust that tournament, their main entertainment or opportunity for the day in poker has gone. So they're going to be a little bit more conservative. They're not going to bluff as much, they're not going to be as aggressive, and they're not going to call all in, for example, as much either. They're going to be a little bit more conservative with their chips. Online, very different situation. You bust, you can jump into another game, right? Also, don't minimize the looking foolish point of view, right? If you're in a live card room and you make a bluff and you get called and you turn over 7 high and you have to walk out the tournament, you feel a bit silly, right? We've all been there. If you do it online, it's anonymous or pretty close to anonymous. And so people are going to be willing to do it that little bit more. Now, the difference isn't, totally wild, right? It's not like one game is played one way and one game is played another way. But there is a difference. The games do play differently. This is especially true across limits. So if you play 1-2 cash live and then jump in a 1-2 online game, you're going to see a massive difference in the play. You're going to see way more 3-betting online, way more solid professional players in a 1-2 online game than a 1-2 live game. Generally, not every time, but generally a better level of play. So there are differences. And if you're going to transition to online, it's important that you acknowledge them and start to adapt to them. And it goes back to 1, give yourself a chance to build the skill and adapt. All right, I hope this video has encouraged you to play online if you were a live player, or if you've dabbled and been unsuccessful, you just start dabbling now, giving you the opportunity to do a little bit better. Do hit the like button if you've liked it. Subscribe to the channel, it really helps us out, and hit the notifications button. And most importantly, leave a comment. I love to read your comments. I make videos based on what I see there. So if there's something you want help with, then give me a shout out. I hope everyone in your life is doing well at what is a really odd and difficult time. I hope you've got the chance to play some online poker as a profitable distraction. Until next time, take it easy. I'm off to flatten my hair a bit more so that I don't look like my top of my head is ascending into space. I'll show you that look maybe in another video. All right, I've enjoyed making this one. Take it easy.